right, guys. So welcome back. This is the first late night level up we've done in a while. We've been off a little bit of a hiatus. But we got some really exciting things coming up now, just with fights and just the sport in general. Connecting with Dave Sawyer at WKA. He's got a lot of stuff going on. We're going to be launching an entire network called Strike Pass through his streaming platform. And one of the things that we're really going to try to get back onto is pumping these podcasts back out and getting with some of these fighters that are up and coming and making moves in the sport. And obviously, this guy right here has been on the grind for some time now, and he's got a lot of exciting stuff coming up right now. So we wanted to kind of obviously make sense from making this comeback on the podcast to get my brother, one of the best fighters I've ever trained of all times.
Appreciate that.
Here on with us. Plus, I feel like he's got what you guys will see. He's got an amazing story. He's fought literally and figuratively through the all the time that I've known him through some amazing things and like really come out on top in every way. So it's a story that's it should be out there because I also feel like you hear a lot of excuses for why people can't do things, and this man definitely puts all that to shame. So I'm excited to kind of get through some of his story with you guys today and let you know that this world champion right here.
Yes, sir. For sure. For those that don't know me, Gary Mack. You can call me either or, Gary or Mack, but been fighting with Jason for 8 years now, man. And like you said, it's been a long road, a long journey, but I feel like we're right at the door to where we need to be, and we're prepared to kick the door down. So keep working, and let's see how things go.
So what I figured too, what we wanted to kind of do is obviously I know the story. We want to help get the story out to other people that are just kind of tuning in to Gary's journey now. So tell me a little bit about when you started.
So I started in 2015. I want to say like early summer of 2015. I started at a different gym in the area. Was there for about maybe 6 weeks, and then I think that's when a couple guys brought me over to you. I want to say the first time I came to Level Up, I ended up sparring.
Yeah,
over there.
you definitely did.
I
Yeah.
ended up sparring the first time I leveled up, and people were surprised to know that I was only training for about 6 to 8 weeks at a time. And
yeah, I thought you had fights. I thought you had fought already.
Yeah, no, I had no fights. Just was really always watched the sport grow from MMA or kickboxing or boxing. I always wanted to do it, but growing up with a single mom, she didn't really want to see me get hit, so it was always track or football. So around 2015, I finally just decided that let's see if I really want to do this or not.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I had the same. So funny story with my mom. Wouldn't let me play football growing up because she was worried that I would get like injured, and that was like the one thing I really wanted to do as a kid was play football for some reason, and she was like, no. But then she put me in karate and let me like axe kick little kids in the head and all this stuff. I do think that if I would have been getting busted up in tournaments, that she probably would have yanked me out of there fast.
But for sure.
I like was blessed and was pretty dominant as a little. I was a tall kid, and then I got all my growth early, and then I kind of I got that part out of the way, and then I just stayed that size for the rest of my life, unfortunately. But it served me well in the Taekwondo tournaments. So he started at a gym, Bowie MMA, that we were super friendly with, and actually way down the line, even partnered with one of the owners, Carlos, later. And Carlos and I had actually worked together at another gym before I opened up Level Up too. So we had always been really cool. And the three guys came over with Alvin, Vincent, and Johan. Three of my favorite people in this sport that I've met over the years too. And that was why I assumed that Gary had fights because they came over with fights and were trying to work on their striking. And they were kind of going back and forth between. But you came over and pretty much just made the move permanent. What made you decide to do that?
Well, at the time, I really didn't know what I was getting into. I want to say, if I'm remembering the story correctly, I met Elliot in a McDonald's, like right outside of the Bowie MMA.
Okay.
I don't remember how the conversation started or how we even started talking, but he convinced me to come to Bowie MMA. And like I said, I was only there for 6 to 8 weeks. But when I came over, and I want to say after the first week with you guys, I kind of got that feeling like this is what I wanted to do. Like I kind of wanted to do MMA, but at the time, Bowie MMA was more focused on jiu-jitsu, and I knew that if I was going to do anything, I wanted to be a striker. I wanted to be a striker and get to the wrestling jiu-jitsu part later, but I wanted my base to be striking, so I ended up staying at Level Up because I seen that was you guys' main focus was the striking aspect of the sport.
Yeah, that's definitely what we like. We worked with a lot more MMA fighters back then. It's obviously, and we'll kind of get to that a little bit more later too. But things have changed drastically, even in the last few years, because you pretty much, everyone that wanted to strike professionally, like you try to make it last as long as you can, and eventually everyone pretty much always has to make the move to MMA if you want to put food on the table. But things are starting to change now, especially with the stuff that we're doing here in Emerge. It's a really exciting time. It's cool to see that stuff change and have the option to be able to stick with it. So early on, once you started training, what was your goals? What did you want to do?
Honestly, I didn't really have no goals or plans with it. Like I tell people all the time, I never really started this stuff to be where I'm at today. I was going through a little rough patch of life, and I always got in trouble growing up fighting. So it was like my brother. You can ask my brother. We're 14 months apart. We can watch fighting films or wrestling, and right after whatever we was watching is over, I'm trying to do the move. That's been me my whole childhood. So it's what kept me coming in was my interest in it. I was really interested in just learning and growing in the sport. I want to say after my first WKAs, which was around my fourth fight, is when I kind of was like, okay, well, we've been winning and we just beat a good guy at the time. I was like, maybe I should take it a little bit serious and start trying to map out a plan. But originally, I was just coming to punch and hit the bag and hopefully punch other people.
So would you say so WKAs was when things kind of started to set in and you're like, okay, this is something I want to do.
Yeah, WKAs, I mean, my first and second fight both went well. They both were knockouts, but it was I don't know if I'm ready to be on the national scene or the regional scene. It was more local fights, and that year at WKAs, I believe I fought West. I don't know his last name at the time right now.
West Argo, yeah.
West Argo, but at the time he had about 20-something fights, and it was my fourth fight in the finals. And once I heard that after the fight, I didn't know it beforehand. It was well, maybe we do got what it takes to, go somewhere with this if we just get a little bit more time and effort behind it.
Yeah, I definitely was sold. I mean, we kind of have a system, a format for how we can figure out where to put people and as they start. So we always start everybody off in what we call a smoker. It's like an exhibition fight. And Gary's first one was against Ali, who was one of our strength and conditioning coaches.
He's currently my strength and conditioning
coach. He's currently Gary's strength and conditioning coach.
Sure,
this guy is a big dude, and they did boxing. Gary obviously can box. If you know Gary, Gary can box. But he still was focusing more on just Muay Thai and kickboxing, and jumped in there, did a boxing smoker against a guy who was focused primarily on boxing, and was definitely a couple weight classes above. And that was a fucking amazing match, man. It was really cool. I'll have to drop some clips into that for me. I gotta find that thing.
I don't have it anymore. I was on my old phone. I don't have it.
I'm pretty sure I still have it on my hard drive. I'll have to track it down. But yeah, so usually after the first smoker, I kind of have an idea of okay, next thing should be this, So a lot of gyms will do the smokers and get 4 or 5 of them, and then still put their fighter in they're brand new novice or whatever. I like to use it just to kind of see where we should start at. And after Gary did that first one, Manny. No. So the very first fight he did was another Ono guy, because we still were not sure Muay Thai wise because he did a
Yeah.
boxing one. So
Yeah,
so
yeah.
he did the first Muay Thai one on
AMCL,
AMCL against a guy from Disciple, very strong gym, another one of the top gyms in DMV. At 170, I think that one was right.
Yeah, it was like 68, 70, something like that. Yeah.
So that was like the next test. It's like, okay, we know we can hang with big giant dudes in boxing, obviously, and then yeah, got the quick finish in that one, and then we literally jumped. But I knew that he had a strong, I knew he had a strong fight IQ already. He was sponging things up quickly, obviously, just. Um, Putting things together really well, combinations and stuff so early on. So I was like, okay, it doesn't help him to pussyfoot around, and we kind of jumped up there really quick. And his second fight was on Warriors Cup, which is, in my opinion, has always been the best show in the U.S. And is 100% the best show in the U.S. right now.
Sure.
It's hard to argue. So yeah, second fight. We went through one or two opponents first, and we landed on Manny. But Manny was 3-2 or something, right?
I don't remember, man. That was back.
I don't know. I never even really told him.
Yeah,
He just
I don't
trusted
think
me
he started
to.
telling me the opponent's records until like a year ago. I always was just like, "We got to fight. All right, I'll be there."
Yeah,
So
yeah. That's and honestly, Gary and a couple of other fighters, I've been blessed that we've had that relationship where they've trusted me to kind of manage them, and it's actually one of my favorite things to do is you get these fighters that are just mentally tough enough to be like, okay, that whatever you think, coach, like I trust you, and not necessarily just trusting me, but also trusting in their abilities. That makes my job super easy. I'll never forget I think that first fight after he fought Manny, my wife Erin was with me, who had a lot of fights at that time, and she came up with me to corner him. And after, I don't know, maybe it was before the fight, Erin in the locker room was like, I want to be on the show with you, because he was so chill, he's so relaxed. Like she was digging that vibe, and like I was like, yeah, you get it. I was like, he had a presence and he had an understanding of his skill that I knew we were ready to kind of start making those moves early on. So we fought Manny, who was a late middle place, stepped up from Staten Island Muay Thai. I think they're called Legion now. Kind of stepped up late notice because somebody else had pulled out. But we knew after that fight for sure, it was like there was no reason to keep trying to get like people with like. So the next move was WKs, and then that, like you say, did the Open.
sure.
And there was originally, so that year should have been like everyone should have got like 5 to 6 fights. It was WKs in New York. Biggest registration of all time for every bracket. And there was an issue with the bracketing system. And so it's supposed to be like a 3-day tournament. And things just kind of went haywire on Friday, and not too many fights happened. And understandably, people got frustrated. Me personally, we go into these tournaments. The team already goes in with the mindset of it's going to be chaotic. It's a tournament. That's how things get. So we're going to be, and we literally every like hour we were up shadow boxing, moving. We didn't just sit around waiting to see what happened. Like we stayed ready, made sure if they called us, we were ready to go. And unfortunately, a lot of other teams don't operate that way. They need things to be perfect all the way through, and that's just not how it works. You know what I mean? Not how life works at all, and especially in the fight. Like you go in planning for everything to go a certain way, you're absolutely going to get fucked up. There's no way that it's going to work that way. So that's one of the things I like so much about the tournaments is that chaotic element that allows us to like really see what we have as a team and if we can rise to the occasion. Unfortunately, a bunch of people freaked out and didn't stay to the end to kind of wait it out. First let's talk about the first fight because that's a hilarious story. You tell that part. That's hilarious though.
So the first fight, the guy, I don't even remember if I ever knew his name, but
Eric something from Anderson's.
yeah, I don't remember. But he had fought, I believe he fought West in the quarterfinals or semifinals, wherever it may have been. And afterwards, I knew he was fighting in the kickboxing bracket next. So I went up to him, was like, yo, man, good fight. You know what I'm saying? Me and you will fight next. And he kind of gave me this little smug look, and it was like, well, our fight not going to go like that. And instantly I was like, you know what? All right, cool. I didn't come over here to make it seem like I was going to whoop you, but now I'm going to make sure I do. So in the fight, I kind of fought differently than I did my first two fights. It was my third fight, but for the first 2 minutes, I just didn't stop throwing because I felt disrespected, honestly. And after the first round, I landed a lot of shots in that first round. Jason's cornering me, and I remember, and I'm just looking over his shoulder kind of like this, and I'm like, yo, Jay, I don't think we have anything left to do. And he's still talking. I'm like, no, look, like he's getting out the ring. And the guy kind of just got up out the ring and walked out the ring, didn't really tell the ref or nothing. We all was confused. I ended up getting the win. So it's a funny story because he was kind of like, before the fight, 100% sure he was going to whoop my ass.
Mm-hmm.
He was 100% sure. He knew that he was going to beat me. And then until the fight, every time I seen him in passing, because like we said, it was a lot of waiting time in between fights. It was always like a little smug mug. So I made sure to, let him know it's levels to this. And that's the message I wanted to send to him.
And there certainly was. Yeah, it was crazy. I'm very focused in the corner because you only get that little bit of time to all right, we got to breathe, we got to get water, we got to get some instruction. And then he's like, no, literally, oh shit, he left.
We got him get up out of there. He said, fuck that. They ain't paying me enough.
So then, I think that was Saturday, and then so we wait till Sunday. That was such a crazy situation because we're expecting to fight still a bunch more people, and then they're just literally dropping like flies. People are just leaving, which is still really crazy to me because there was a lot of good people there that year. A lot of good fights could have happened. People's records could have been way bigger.
For sure.
You already paid the money to be there. They wanted us to stay in a particular hotel that was not cheap per night
at all.
We drove up there. A lot of people flew up there. You already paid. You already trained. Why you would leave is beyond me. And then of course, the final two people to fight. Gary from Maryland, and we got to drive home after that, and then Wes from Colorado had to fly out after that. So they're obviously the two guys that really wanted it, and we're not leaving that place without getting those fights in. Belts on the line, final fight.
I think we fought at midnight.
Yeah, it was midnight on Sunday. After being there since Thursday or whatever. So it was a long weekend. It was an incredible fight. Really, really tough fight. Which was, I feel like at the time, people might be like, oh damn, whatever. That was maybe it was kind of a close fight, but I'm like, understand though that this man had three fights going into that. For it to be close even, it was crazy, And Wes is a phenomenal fighter. He's gone on to fight at IFMA. He's won TBAs. He's a fantastic fighter.
Yeah, really fighter,
tall, fast.
Has a real good IQ too.
Super good IQ, and comes from a team of high IQ fighters. I mean, the Easton Training Center guys. I mean, some of the top guys in the UFC are coming out of there. They've got a little bit of that Dwayne Ludwig influence over their style over there too. So that was a huge win. And after that, it's kind of I knew, I'm like, okay, now it's this is what we got to focus on, is just finding if this guy's going to stay on this path, then my job is to try to make sure that we're lining up people to keep leveling up and seeing what we need to fix, because at some point, and I tell people this all the time, if you're going to turn professional, the biggest mistake a lot of athletes and coaches honestly let or make happen is getting these guys fights that are easy.
It's not challenging.
And then they just build their record up, and they don't have any. You never know what to work on. Everything just seems like it's perfect. And then the problem is once you turn professional and now you got to start facing these guys with 50, 60 fights, you're going in there with a weak mindset a lot of times where you feel like everything needs to go your way and everything needs to be
false sense of
easy.
superiority, like you're like that, and you're gonna find out the hard way. There's some people out here that can really take your head off.
Yeah.
For sure. For sure. My bad. I ain't to cut you
No,
off.
no, that's
Yeah,
no. You're
that's-
right. You
yeah,
jump
it's
in
crazy.
whenever. Yeah, because this. I mean, this is your show, big dog. But then. So then, next move is, and this is what's really crazy. Sometimes to me that bugs me a little bit too. I care a lot about the perception of the athletes from here, because I feel like they work so hard to get what they got, and they're doing things that are on paper. A lot of people would say is not possible. They define the odds, and they're doing things and making it look easy. Sometimes I think sometimes people think they can replicate that, and it's not as easy as it looks. And this man has also fought some of the best people that you guys might not have heard of, because after fighting him, I think some of them were kind of like, I don't know if I want to do this. And I think if they hadn't met you along their path at certain points, a lot of these guys are people that would have gone on and become maybe even where you're at right now.
Yeah, just to piggyback on that, because it's not necessarily saying like, they fought me. It was like, nah, this is not for me. But kind of what Jay said in the beginning, we all got things outside of fighting that weighs on our mental, getting ready for fights. And if you run into people that, whether it's in training or in your fights, that make you sit and think. And I still have these moments to this day, like, yo, do I really want to be doing this shit? I got 2 kids at home. I got a job. I can make more money with doing this and da-da-da-da-da. And it makes you start questioning your why and why you're doing this. So when he says, like, a lot of people stop fighting, it's not a talent-based thing. It's more so of like, oh, shit, this guy, he's doing what I'm doing, but, I give them kind of that out to be like, maybe I need to focus on this because, it's some other motherfuckers out here. Excuse me, I don't know if we can cuss on here, but it's other people on here that can, that's really trying to make it to places. So, and it weighs on your mental when you run into somebody like that, where you think you're the best or the best in your state or your region or the nation, and you run into somebody that's equally as good. It can play on your mental. It can play on your mental a lot.
Yeah, then thank you for adding that, because that's exactly what I mean. I don't mean any disrespect towards those people, because what you're saying is absolutely
for sure.
Is absolutely it's like, and I really mean, so like the next guy, Josh, the guy next time you fight, Josh Hill, who actually made a comeback recently. This kid's a fucking monster, bro.
Yeah, he's
like
a zombie.
He's a fucking monster, and he proved it. He just it was kind of a cool scenario where this was their 5th fight, right? Josh, was your 5th fight?
My 5th fight, yep, on RFS.
Yeah. RFS title.
Yep, 170 title.
170, 5-rounder.
My first
5-rounder. It was a banger. Dude has a chin of granite.
Yeah, man. I don't know what's wrong with that guy. I've seen him a lot, man. A lot. To this day, I still show a picture when he's teeping me in my stomach and I'm landing across at the same time. And I look at it like, I don't understand how this fight went the distance. He had again, go back into that mental fortitude, not really caring about what I was throwing. It's like, we're going to finish this fight. So, and I think he was just at Worlds when I did the merge thing, and he won a world title out there. So it's kind of full circle running into people that you fought 4, 5, 6 years ago.
Yes, won dominantly.
Yeah, he won down. He looked really good out there. Really good out
He's
there.
definitely another guy that you guys will start to see, Josh Hill. Yeah, I think he's took some time off. Like I said, sometimes it's not necessarily or like Gary said, really, it's not necessarily like a skill or a technique thing. It's just you come across these people and you're doing everything right, and then there's just like you've touched that next level, and you're like, fuck. And because you gotta understand, for Muay Thai and kickboxing, and we're heading towards a different direction now, But until recently, and while all this stuff was going on, there was no money really on the line either. Like this is pure love for just fighting at like the hardest, highest level, the highest highs, the lowest lows. So it really makes you like question your entire self. Like, what are you
What am I
with
doing
this?
this for?
What are you without it?
Mm-hmm.
It's an existential crisis waiting to happen sometimes. Um, but when it's clicking, it's just there's like nothing like it. So yeah, it's cool to see. I'm really glad to see Josh came back. Um, there's been a there's another guy. When did Ray come into the picture?
I want to
Was
say
he-
Ray was after Josh. I want to say he was
Right?
the next fight. I think I was 5-0.
Did you fight Neil before?
I think it was Ray then Neil,
Ray then Neil.
and then it was EJ.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Ray Maldonado,
Yeah.
another guy who, and at the time, like he was like another one of the guys. Like he's like, okay, like this dude is the next hardest possible test that he could find. Again, back to Warriors Cup. Ray had fought Troy Jones, and at that time, Troy had been just demolishing everyone, and then after that fight, continued demolishing everyone, and Ray actually went all 5 rounds with him, made it a competitive fight.
I watched that fight countless times.
Yeah.
Before I fight. That was a really good fight.
Ray is a
Really good
fucking
fight.
beast.
Yeah, he is, man.
And these two fought 5 rounds, Warriors Cup for another title. Or that was their first title on Warriors Cup.
That was my
Yeah.
that was my first title
On Warriors Cup.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So at this point, the two national WK titles, the RFS,
And then it was Warriors
and
Cup.
then the Warriors Cup.
Fourth
So we're
fight, yeah.
working on the 4th belt here. We got Ray, super tough test.
Super fun fight. So
Tell me about Ray.
So Ray, to me, was one of my first fights that helped me develop IQ wise. Cause at first, when you first start fighting, you're just doing simply that you're fighting, and I think after his fight was the first time I started looking at everybody like puzzles. Like I look at my training partners, opponents. Everybody has a puzzle. Everybody has a way that they fight, and inside the fight, you got anywhere from 9 to 15 minutes to figure that puzzle out or put the puzzle together, however you look at it. I think that fight with Ray really helped me IQ-wise to really start thinking about how I'm fighting and what I'm doing and being conscious of how I'm doing. Because he was really crafty, really fast, had a lot of experience. So I honestly feel like that fight helped my development a lot.
Yeah, it's crazy how that works. Like, I know this is an odd reference, but so I've been playing God of War like crazy lately, and it's like on my head, and it's really dope because it has like so much of the elements that we incorporate into the way that we approach just combat. You have to rep out all your moves on the game and it'll level them up, and it kind of keeps track of like how many times you do them, and then there's levels to even that. And then there's toward the end, and it kind of blows me a little bit because at the end there's just one of the final bosses, like the second to last boss, and it took me. I literally fought this dude for 3 days, but when I finally beat him, like I'm like so good at the game now. I'm like, fuck, like I wish I'd have gotten that fight in the game earlier because I feel like I just know like the system and everything so well now. It kind of like feels like a waste almost. But that's the cool thing about this is like having that moment. Now it's like, oh, I can't wait to fight another level up or whatever, so I can take all this shit in there. So you felt like that after Ray, right?
Yeah, I felt like I said, I felt like he made me think in there. Like I couldn't just fight how I fought my first 5 fights. I had to like really think and stay. For the main thing with that fight was staying long and staying away from him because he was quick on the inside. He put a lot of punches and kicks together, and he knew how to use my inexperience or his experience to his advantage. So it was like I really think that was my first time actually thinking while I was fighting. And it sounds crazy, but for my fighters, you know what I mean. Like sometimes we just early on be fighting and not thinking how we setting up, how we're throwing the shot, when we're throwing the shot. Yeah, so I think that was the first time I developed like, oh, you have to really think in it.
Yeah, that's dope. And
Mm-hmm.
that's when somebody like you like really gets super dangerous because your instincts are so good and your and not even just instinct, like your decision making
Mm-hmm.
at high speeds is
Mm-hmm.
phenomenal. So to be able to take that and then also be like looking at them from the outside long range and being like,
Mm-hmm.
man, I'm about to do this. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right,
Like
right, right.
that's when shit starts getting kind of fun too.
Man, shout out to Ray though, man. He's doing real good things, coaching in New York, MK, I believe, and
Yes.
has a lot of talented fighters passing all that experience and things on. So, yeah, shout out to him, man.
Yeah, big shout out to Ray. One of my favorite guys in the sport. That team MK is phenomenal. They bring a lot of fighters down to our smokers now, which has been really cool because you're seeing a lot of them start to
Flourish,
become
yeah.
champions, fighting for
Mm-hmm.
Warriors Cup, and like Ashley Blanco is a champion there, and they always show us mad love when we're in New York fighting behind so-called enemy lines a little bit. We never feel like we're
Man, I don't care about
the
that.
away team because we always get love, and we're
Mm-hmm.
always the away team anyway, so it's never really an issue. Um, so okay, so then we are. I feel like you were pretty set on Muay Thai and kickboxing. But like I said, we were fully aware back then of the financial situation of staying in this sport, what it led to and what it didn't lead to money wise, you know.
Right, right,
And I know we were kind of toying with the idea of possibly doing MMA, and then you took an MMA fight
right. Mm-hmm.
on RFS with Neil Varone, who I think had like 7 MMA fights at that
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
And you were
I was six,
5 or 6 fights,
5 and
something
6 and
like
0.
that.
Yeah, I think Ray was my 6 fight, so 6 and 0.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me about that experience fighting in the cage. Well, you had been in the cage before
Yeah.
with Josh, but in the cage, MMA gloves.
I mean, it was fun. You know, I never really want to like completely shut the door on that
Yeah,
avenue.
absolutely.
But you know, right now we got what we got going on. But at that time, it's like I always wanted to do it. Like at that time, one of my favorite fighters was Conor McGregor. I mean, still to this day he is. He's definitely fell off. But I wanted to get in there and see what it was like. You know,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, we got the classic jiu-jitsu guy versus striker. I want to say Neil was like a purple belt at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, it's kind of nerve-wracking knowing that someone could take me down. And at the time, I trained in jiu-jitsu, but I'm gonna be real, not really. You know,
Yeah.
it was fun. You know, I think we implemented a really good game plan. I think we just focused on wrestling and defense that camp instead of more so the jiu-jitsu aspect of not going down there. He didn't get one takedown, so he didn't really
Mm-hmm.
get a chance to use his jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And punching with 4 ounce gloves feels nice. You know, so it feels like nice to feel the
Those
skull,
knuckles.
the body bounce off your knuckles. So yeah, it was a good fight. It was fun. I think we got a third round finish that night.
Yeah, that was a sick ass fight. I love that one because I don't know if it was the MMA gloves or what it was, but like you got into a groove and like just were putting just these beautiful combinations together, which is awesome to see because the threat of the takedown is usually what
Slows
makes putting
everybody
those
down.
combinations
Yeah,
together
very
so
dangerous.
dangerous and you're just very in the moment, super aware, like knew your range, and a lot of people don't realize that. So I started off initially planning to do MMA myself as well too, and like Gary wanted my foundation to be striking. So I started off at Jim Lloyd Irvin's down in Camp Springs, and was kind of the oddball in that place in the sense of most people were there really focusing on their jiu-jitsu. I was really hyper focused on the Muay Thai, and my style has always kind of derived from that being in a gym full of people that if they take you down could mangle you. My
That's a fact.
striking was kind of predicated on having the range to be able to see a level change and defend myself from takedowns. So my style was always a more of an outside sniper. You know, kind of pick my shots, move, be a little bit more elusive and attack and interrupt a little bit more, and I feel like it helped me. Um, I don't want to say introduce, but I do feel like our style is a little different than what you see in a lot of the traditional Muay Thai and even kickboxing gyms.
That's a fact.
A little bit hated on sometimes, but it's I feel like it's starting to change now.
You gotta stop it.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah,
Stop it.
it's been working for us, so it doesn't really make sense to change it.
Yeah.
And honestly, my thought process was always, especially because of the financial situation we talked about earlier. And if you've been in this game long enough, you understand there's valleys of activity too, where you could have like a run where you're just fighting this fight and that fight, and then you could hit a time where it's 6, 7, 8 months that you can't get anything, and being limited to one sport could crush your your dreams a little bit. So my idea was always to have this boxing foundation that would allow our fighters to box, Muay Thai, kickbox, MMA. You want to slap fight? Like I always make the joke that we'll show up and just let us know what we can't do at the rules meeting, and we'll make it work.
For sure.
And I definitely feel like our athletes have that ability for sure. Gary, 1,000%. I mean, you're 2-0 as a boxer.
No, I want to know, but I've done.
You didn't fight twice? I thought you fought
No,
twice.
I only did one, but I've helped unified world champions. I've been in multiple, top 15, top 10 guys camps to help them when they need southpaw. So it's like the avenue of boxing has always been, a possibility for me.
Mm-hmm.
But what we got going on now and where I'm at, and kind of how the boxing politics work.
Yeah.
I stay where I'm at, but it's not like I can't go do it if I didn't want to. And that's basically what you said, being ready and having our foundation being boxing, so
yeah, you could.
It definitely helps.
Well, you've done all three. I mean, well, four, I guess, if you look at Muay Thai, kickboxing, boxing, MMA.
Yeah.
Won in all of them.
Mm-hmm.
So it goes to show. Pat Rivera was another fighter that I trained at boxing, Muay Thai, kickboxing, MMA.
He actually fights tonight, I believe.
Fights tonight for a title.
Yeah,
Shout out to Patrick Rivera. Get your belt, big dog.
Mm-hmm.
Luther Smith, Muay Thai, kickboxing, boxing. Jared did all three. I think at first it seemed like a funky style to a lot of people, but over time I think now people are starting to catch on, and they're like, oh, and I'm like,
get your hands together.
Yeah, or don't. You know what I'm saying? We'll take it.
Yeah, I'll take whatever I can get.
So going from there, we had some weird shit. Lion fight was in there at some point too. We don't talk about that one too much because it's kind of a stupid situation. And ended up being a no contest off of an illegal strike. But cool experience. Went up to Foxwoods. Got to spend some time at the casino. It was a cool trip in the long run. And then I feel like the next big milestone that was huge for both of us was the WBC tournament in DC.
For sure. Yeah, that was fun, man. My first time fighting that low at 160. Definitely was a little bit nerve-wracking going in, the least experience. I think at the time I was
either eight or nine, right?
I was 9-1 at the time.
Yeah.
Yep, I was 9-1 at the time, and I think everybody there had minimum 15, 16 fights, but I think the highest guy was probably around like the 25, 30 range.
Yeah.
And we went and had fun. I had my first fight against Jake Chamberlain, good fighter, still doing this thing right now, the House of Muay Thai as a coach.
Mm-hmm.
We had a good fight, went all 3 rounds, and then I fought Nigel Holden in the finals, which mentally presented a problem for me before the fight because he was so tall and long, and I seen the first fight, and before getting in there, I didn't know how I was going to handle it, but we ended up getting a stop in the 4th round. Should have been stopped sooner, in my opinion. Thought it was stopped a couple times, in my opinion. We got about 3-4 knockdowns in that fight, but it was a good fight, man. It was my one and only. It was my second time, but only 2 out of 20 fights fighting in DC, close to home, man. It was nice to get that belt with this belt in front of a home crowd. It was real dope.
Yeah, that was like that was like that capped off, and then that was in December,
Yeah,
which is funny
sucked.
because we don't
We don't
normally
fight
fight
after
after Thanksgiving. Yeah, I always try to. So like, even me as a coach, I try to just grind with these guys year round. A lot of people don't realize that like, so the fighters, they come in, they do their camps, and they do their fight, and then most of these guys, take a couple of days off at most, and then they're right back in the gym.
Mm-hmm.
Those couple of days help a lot, though. For me, the camp is still continuing with the next person, so I'm just like, I don't do those couple of days for the most part. Just keep going.
Mm-hmm.
So my time usually to try to just recuperate, usually from after Thanksgiving through the end of the year, we continue to train. Obviously, start looking at what we're going to do towards the end of January and kick the year back off. But this was such a big opportunity, and we had Gary and Mickey both fighting 4-man one-night tournaments. We couldn't pass up that opportunity. They were both like really on the grind right then. They're our southpaws. Like there was so much. It was so exciting, the whole situation, and we couldn't really pass that up. And we had such an amazing year in general that year. Aaron won this.
Fight that year.
Yeah. You went crazy that year. Aaron won. Won the silver medal at IFMO, which was insane. First American fighter at the A class to even get to a gold medal fight in like 9 years or something like that. Won though IKF World Championship that year. We just went. 2017 we also won the WK team. Like we had won the most golds or whatever belts at nationals too. So we went crazy in 2017. So to cap it off with both of these guys fighting for the WBC titles in the one-night 4-man tournament, and they both won, was insane. This man made it a little bit harder for Mickey though, because he dumped Holden so hard so many times that he broke the ring, and they literally had to take that joint apart and rebuild it for like 45 minutes before Mickey could go in there and do his final fight.
My apologies.
But it was well worth it. Those are some of the most vicious sweeps I've ever seen. I honestly thought that at least a couple of them should have been 8 counts on their own.
Right.
That was like such a frustrating end to that fight too, because I'm like, is it over? Like we didn't know, even if the ref just kind of was just like,
it's over.
He was tired, I guess, of watching it, and then it was just such a odd. It wasn't as satisfying as it should have been until they slapped that belt around him, and then we were like, okay, all right, now we can celebrate. And then 2018, just a weird year all around for the team, for the gym, and you took some time off around then, right?
I was forced time.
Yeah.
Fight.
I
think I did a boxing fight early that year, like February, March, and we couldn't find nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we was reaching out, and I think that's when ECL reached out about 6 weeks before the Canada fight, and we went to fight for a North American title that summer. But up until then, we couldn't get anyone.
We were struggling.
And that wasn't just me; it was a lot of people. We couldn't get fights at all. And luckily, I only fought twice that year. Luckily, it was for North American title, and one was boxing. But I only had 2 fights that year that ended up partially tearing my shoulder that fight. So that forced me to take some time.
That's right.
The rest of the year 2018. Yep.
Yeah, it was such a weird and that's what I was talking about the those valleys, because 2017 it was just like, oh my God, like what do we do now? You know what I mean? Like, and then 2018 was like, damn, what are we doing?
7 fights to 2. It was crazy, man.
Yeah.
We was actively looking, so.
But yeah, that was, I mean, shout out to Makai Morano from Edmonton Combat League. Somebody he was looking for, somebody Gary's weight, and reached out to me. Somebody had mentioned Gary to him.
I believe it was Omar Lee from Florida.
Yes.
Shout out to my guy Omar.
Hell yeah.
He always repping, and
always.
Anytime he sees a fight in my weight class, he always DMs me. So shout out Omar for sure.
Good call. I couldn't remember what it was, because Omar fought on there as well too. So they
too,
brought 4 Americans up to do a USA versus Canada card, all for North American titles. It's Gary versus Cody Jerome.
He fights tonight too.
Luis.
Luis Morales versus
I can't think of the
it was,
guy's name.
I want to say it was like Eddie Chung or.
That's who Omar fought.
That's who Omar
and
fought.
then
Luis
and then
who did Luis
he
fight?
fought a really good guy, and I feel so bad because he's a big fucker, man. But yeah, and then my wife Erin also fought on the card, so they got a chance to fight again together on the card, which was sick. Eddie or Omar and Luis came up short. Had two tough fights and didn't get the decisions.
I think Luis won.
Yeah, everyone kind of thought Luis won.
I definitely think Luis won that fight that night.
Yeah, I did too.
Quick story. So about the Canada stuff, I had a opponent 14-0, and literally 45 minutes before we board our plane, we got the call that my opponent had switched to Cody Jerome. So shout out to Cody for stepping up.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they knew a day or two before they told us, and they had to find the opponent. But that's all good, you know. And Jason asked me, did we want to fight? And
I knew. But
yeah, I was just we at the airport already.
Yeah, literally laying on the floor at the airport waiting to board.
We were at the airport already, and then the funny part of the story was, without going into too many details, some things happened in the crowd afterwards, and you know, shout out to my boy Luis for having my back. He will always be my guy for that. So I just had to get that out there.
Yeah,
shout out to Luis.
The crowd was a little frustrated. It started off well for them. They got the first 2 W's, and then Erin came out and won her fight, all 5 rounds, unanimous decision. Really awesome fight against another. And here's the thing: they didn't put us in easy, and we never asked for it. As a matter of fact, I don't like it because I feel like people make excuses for why we win a lot of times anyway. So the less they have, the better. But we also really made a strong connection with Makai off of the promoter of ECL, off of that fight, because a lot of these promoters are used to dealing with, and I can tell you from my own personal experience as a matchmaker, coaches can be difficult sometimes. He's like, hey, so listen, I got this. Cool, let's go. Now, all right, well, and I also have this person for a game. Yeah, that sounds great. 14-0? Hell yeah, that's perfect. That's exactly what we're looking for. So we're actually, from the promoters that are watching this, if you're looking for a team that's really easy to work with, hit us up.
Anybody from 154 to 170, I'm willing to fight, man.
Got guys at every weight, amateur, pro. Yeah, we're easy to work with.
At least for me, I don't really care who it is. I seek good opponents. So any promoters, 54 to 70, I know a guy.
We know a guy. The ECL was fire.
It was fire.
Been a bummer. So Canada got hit. So the next crazy thing I feel like we jump into is COVID. So COVID really just put a damper on a lot of stuff. Obviously, people's careers, the gym, shows. Canada got hit really hard. They kept them locked out of the gyms and obviously the promotions for a long time. ECL was supposed to run a show a little while back, and then I think the powers that be shut that down again too. So I really hope to see them make a return. I would love to bring our fighters back up there again. And like Gary said, so Cody fights tonight.
Yeah, he fights tonight on I think it's called the Muay Thai.
It's the Muay Thai.
Yeah, but they're doing the same thing as Warrior Cup. It's the 155 Road to 1. So.
Tell them about that. Tell them about what's going on there.
Yeah, so they're doing a Road to 1. I believe that show in Canada and Warriors Cup are the only 2 shows in North America that's doing it. I believe right now Warriors Cup is doing 135 for men, 115 for females, and I think the Canadian show, pardon me, I don't know the
55 and 45.
Yeah, I don't know the name, so I don't want to butcher it. But yeah, I think they're doing 55 and 45.
And 125 females also.
125 females. Cody is fighting, and the 155 won the night. So, me personally, I hope he wins the whole thing. It makes me look better, But outside of that, for most fighters, sharing a bond and sharing a ring with somebody creates a real strong bond. So I wish him the best tonight, and all jokes aside, the entire tournament. I hope he gets that contract. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And was what 24-3 or something. I think when y'all fought, something like that, right?
Yeah, listen, I get punched a lot. I don't even remember. I just like I said, I want to say up until we turned pro, he really wasn't telling me people's records till afterwards. Anyway, I didn't really ask or care. I was just like, we got this guy. Let's go train. Let's go beat him. So
Yeah.
But yeah, for sure. Good luck tonight, and hopefully he can win the whole thing.
And since turning pro, he's undefeated, right?
No, he has the one loss. He lost his title in California.
Oh,
I
shit.
want to say he's
I didn't even know.
not maybe it wasn't his title, but 4A title. It was a to me. I watched the fight. It was a pickle fight.
Yeah.
I kind of went with Cody, but I want to say he's about 7-1, 8-1 right now as a pro.
Yeah, I'm tripping. Well, was that on the WCK joint?
Yeah, I think it was on the WCK one.
Damn.
Yep. And he fought I can't remember the guy's name, but I believe he was like the Mexican descent. It was a good scrap fight. Yeah, it was a good
I'm
fight.
gonna have to look that up. Yeah, so then COVID hits and kind of puts a kibosh on everything we were all doing. It put me into a fucking dark time because we had been going through just, hardships with the gym in general. We're coming up on the end of our lease at the old location, and we're planning to move and moved over into the business park that we're in now. And they weren't ready for us. There was a permit issue, so they kind of stuck us in this temporary space. I'm going to do a podcast one day just to the history of Level Up, because this is our 10-year anniversary now.
Fire.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Not a lot of businesses last 10 years.
I still can't believe it.
That's fire. That's fire.
So I'm going to do a whole podcast on that because it will blow your mind. What you guys will either like me a lot more or be like, man, fuck that guy. I don't know. but I'll tell you this story. It'll blow your mind. But yeah, so quickly we moved in. 2019 we were supposed to move in here in October. They pushed it back, and we extended our lease for a month at the other place. And then when they finally were like, listen, we're going to put you in this temporary spot temporarily, and it'll be cheaper, and just hang out in there until we can get these permits. And that was in November. And then literally April 1st, we are 2 weeks into the shutdown of COVID. No businesses can be open. They're like, great news, you guys can move into your new space now. And I'm like, great, we're not allowed to do anything right now, and you fuckers know it. But so yeah, it was because just surviving the previous location and all the stuff that we went through, and to make it here and to kind of hit another roadblock when I really expected it to be smooth sailing from then. Not just because we literally hit the roadblock of you can't be in your space yet, and then now you can be in your space. COVID hit, and it's like you can't be open now either. And I would tell you, I don't know if we don't really talk about it, but you kind of came back during that phase where we were starting to do some stuff again or whatever, and it helped me a lot having you come back because I feel like we definitely have always been tight, and I feel like we have the same vision for this thing that we're trying to do. Just energy. There's just sometimes just people's energy match however you want to look at it. And it definitely lifted me up having you back. I was like, all right, Gary's back. Fuck it. It don't matter if the gym's not open yet or whatever. Me and this cat are gonna go do what we do. Aaron, you know what I'm saying? It was so I appreciate you coming back when you did, because it definitely lifted me up in a time that I was going through some shit. So yeah, I appreciate that. And it wasn't an easy time to come back either. Because
yeah, honestly, man, I wasn't. You gotta thank my wife. After the shoulder tear, 2018, I sit out the rest of. We didn't find out my shoulder was torn until October. I fought in June, so I was still training, kind of making it worse. And then 2019 came, and that March time, I found out my girlfriend at the time, my wife now, was pregnant. And for me, not really having no father figure in my life, my whole focus shifted to providing for my family. At the time, we had an apartment, but I was like, yo, I'm not bringing no kid in here with no apartment. So we actually moved to Frederick, Maryland, which is 75 fucking miles away from the gym. Um, and then COVID hit hard. I want to say my daughter was born in December. We moved in June of 2019. I want to say COVID was here before they said it was here. Let's get that clear first, because I feel like I had it in December. I got very, very sick right before my daughter was born.
Real sick. Me
and then COVID happened top of 2020, and for me, at that point, I was always telling my wife, because we was home and nobody was working, we would go for the house. It's like, I think I'm done. I think I'm not going to fight anymore. And it was more so like I was making money, working a lot of overtime, providing for the family. And it's like, at that point, I thought I was done. But every so often, when I would bring it up, she would always sit and tell me, like, yo, go do this shit, because we're going to be together for the next 10, 15, 20, 30 years. I don't want you looking at me and our daughter saying, this is the reason I stopped and what could have been, et cetera, et cetera. And, the first couple of times you hear that, but, me personally, my thoughts was, that's what you're supposed to say. You know what I'm saying? Love her to death, but that's what any good person is supposed to say, and
well, not many do, though.
Not many do, so but
that's big.
Yeah, it definitely is, but, like, I felt like that was what you're supposed to say answer. You know what I'm saying? If you somewhat fuck with somebody. At that point, we was together for 2 years. And it's crazy. I was just telling my friend Trey when we was training strength and conditioning today, it was like, I ran the most in 2020 during COVID. My entire, like, up until my last camp for Wales. I want to say I ran close to 200 miles during 2020, not even preparing for fights or anything like that. It was just like, something in me was like, bro, we got to go do something. So I had a bag in my backyard. I would run that whole time, and I want to say after like a 12th or 13th time, her telling me, like, go do it, because you're not going to blame us for, your regrets and stuff.
Yeah.
I came here. I think I hit you up. Wasn't enough, like, I want to fight. It was like, okay, I come and hit some mitts. And I came in, and slowly but surely, as COVID started to dwindle away, I was like, you know what, all right, cool. We rolled out 2020. Top of 2021 came out. I was still iffy about it. Because I'm one of them people that really look at the realities of the sport. We can get hurt in here. You know? And at that time, 2021, I was looking at being out or not competing, shall I say, for 3 years. But me and you kept working, and I think that's when we got into 2021. And my first comeback fight was WKA Nationals, August of 2021. So as much as you feel like I helped you, it's reciprocated, because a lot of people will give up on somebody that hasn't been in the gym in 3 years. And it wasn't like I was popping up periodically. Like, I wasn't coming here at all. I wasn't here. Like, Jason didn't see my face literally for a year straight. Like, we still kept in touch and things like that. But again, I lived in Frederick, Maryland. I drove down to Laurel. For those, I guess people that's not from Maryland won't know, but it's about the same distance. 75 miles to work, 75 miles back home, 150 miles a day, just to go to work. And even so, started training. It was a little rough, because I'm going to come in here and train, driving all this shit.
Yeah.
But, you helped me a lot, man. My wife definitely is a big, big part of why I'm even back, because if it was up to me how I was feeling in 2019, 2020, I wouldn't have kept fighting.
Yeah.
If I was single and I didn't have that support system, somebody telling me I could still do it, I think I would have gave up on it. Just the thought of not providing for my child was kind of rough for me. So I kind of put all my eggs in that provide basket, but I come to learn that I can do both. It's tiring. It sucks. My sleep schedule is ass. I probably get 4 or 5 hours of sleep to this day, especially with my son only being 5 months now. But I'm starting to learn to appreciate the journey. And every day is part of that journey, and stop necessarily worrying about when we're going to get there and how we're going to get there. Just more so understand, like, this is another day, another step forward.
Yeah.
And once I started looking at things like that, it became a lot easier to just be in here and end up selling the house for Frederick, moving closer to home, and we fought in 2021. Ain't looked back since.
No, man. It was such a crazy time, and like, people don't realize, people, like, this is a sport where people kind of come and go. It's just part of the game. The reality of it, I think, sets in sometimes. And some people will get out what I feel like you could look at it and say like too early, and some people staying too long. And I've had conversations with people about both. We've had some people that were really talented. They're just it's easy to get wrapped up in this and tell yourself like, well, you're heading in a certain direction. Like eventually you're gonna like really start taking it serious, and you're gonna start training harder, and you're gonna go pro, and you think that all connects to this, great life, and that's not how it works. Like you have to fully commit to it, and it might work out great, and it might not do shit. So you have to always tell these guys like you gotta just love it, because that's all you can count on is loving it and loving doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, some fights, and that's the only thing that's guaranteed.
That's the only thing, and even that's not guaranteed at the time.
Yeah, tell me about it.
So, and I can't tell you like how many, like incredibly talented people that we've had come through these doors over the years that you see come and go, and I've always tried to just because I feel like I like you have a bond with each other. We spend a lot of time together, literally smashing into each other. I mean, it's hard to replicate a bond that you create with the people that you create in these scenarios. Sure. And no matter what, when people drift away, I've always tried to do my best to keep in touch and never be like, yo, when are you coming back? Because that shit sucks to hear, honestly.
Yeah, I don't think you asked me not once the entire year or two I was off, like when I'm coming back. It was always just like general conversation. I brought it up about potentially coming back. It was never the when you coming back. You got to do this, you can do that. It was never that. Never no. Just never really hit me up to get back in the fight. It was never really no pressure. It was more so like, how you been? How's the family? How's the kid? How's work? And vice versa. So it's always easier to come back when you feel like nothing is expected from you, I guess, for lack of better words. So that would be dope.
Yeah. No, like I said, I genuinely care about you as a person. I would say I would say I was probably you're one of the people I was more sad about if you didn't, just because I knew what you were capable of.
For sure.
And it's like, obviously, it's hard not to be a little bit like for me as a coach and as the gym too, be like, man, I want to be with you on that,
Right.
But I'm also been in the world and in the grind long enough to understand what really has value beyond this, and I feel like it's always important to me to make sure that you guys understand that this is only going to be for so long, no matter what, anyway, and it should be a vehicle to set you up for the rest of your life in some form or another, and what you have before and after is what really matters, and what you built is amazing. I don't even have it. I didn't even have the balls to try to do the stuff that you've done while you've been doing what you did. Like I've always been like, I can't have no kids right now. I can't do this right now. Like I'm like, there's no way for me to be what I need to be in my mind for all these people and have to raise a kid and all that stuff. So it takes a lot. It takes a lot to be able to be a father, be a husband, be a homeowner, be a full-time employee of a job, and be a professional fighter. And I don't think people have any idea how much work that you actually put in, how much you actually balance, and then to do it at the level that you're doing it at, and then it's like people be like, man, I can't make it on these days. I'm like, bro, are you fucking kidding me? You know what I'm saying?
When it comes to like this sport, the biggest thing I can say is like, it's kind of to me a double-edged sword, but it's one of the biggest reasons I love combat sports is you get what you put in.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I feel like that's with anything in life, but this more so than anything. You can't.
Yeah.
I think you always say you're either going forward or you're going back. You know. Yep. And for me, trying to balance everything is, for lack of better words, it's definitely not easy. But I want to say I just got to a point in my life, and I just started thinking like, if not this, what else? And I don't mean that like fighting. I don't mean that, job, family. I mean like, I feel like sometimes people overcompensate or overcomplicate life, I should say. You only get one time on this motherfucker.
That's
it. You
it.
know what I'm saying? So if I'm not actively doing what I want to do every single day, what the hell am I doing here?
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people fall into that trap of, well, I'm 25 and I can't do this, or I can't do this because of X, Y, Z. It's like, who said that? Who told you that? Who told you that, you can't balance a job and be a full-time fighter? Yeah, it's going to be hard. Yeah, it's going to be difficult. But if you really, really want to go do something, it's just as easy as that. Get up and go do it. Like, I have days where most of my days now, I just had my second child. He's 5 months now.
2 kids.
Yeah, 2. My daughter's 3, and I get about 4 or 5 hours of sleep. I wake up every day about 4:30, at work by 5:45, work from 5:45 to 2:30, train from about 3 to 6, 3 to 5, whatever the case may be, go home, try to give my wife a break. Sometimes I got to cook, go be super playful daddy to my daughter, and then go be, my son wants to be held, and he goes to sleep 10, 11 o'clock. And then it's a repeat. Me and my wife still got to have time, so we still have nights where we, all right, it's 10:30, but you want to watch an episode of NCIS or an episode of this just to get that time together, because what a lot of people don't understand, and it's like, again, shout out to my wife, because a lot of women couldn't do it. I'm not home. I'm out the house any given day for 15, 16 hours a day. Today's Saturday, and I've been out the house since 10 a.m.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's about 4 o'clock now, But it goes back to what I was saying. It's like, if you want to do it, it's a way to be done. It may not come as easy as you want it to come, or be as exciting, because I miss out on a lot of shit. I don't travel like other people. When's the last time you see me post going out to a club or hanging out with friends? I have a lot of friends, but I miss out on a lot, because it's like, in life, you only have a set amount of time here, and you have to focus on what's important to me. Partying is important to some people. Having that social outlet is important to some people. So I'm not trying to knock that. It's just me personally. I can do that shit when I'm 30, 35. I can travel when I'm 40. And now I'm in a position now that, because I've been grinding since I was 21, I'm 29 now, that I'm getting flown out to Bali in June for free. You know what I'm saying? Potentially be able to bring my wife with me for free. You know what I'm saying? Not necessarily for free, but a percentage of what I'm going to make any fucking way.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And yeah, I could have did that at 24, 25, but it feels that much more better, knowing that you worked and you earned it. It's people's paying for you to come out there. You're not going out there on vacation. People want you out there to do a service for them.
Yeah.
So it's kind of dope to see it come full circle, to see finally it took 8 years, but the hard work is paying off. Countless amateur fights with no shin pads on, countless, basically pro rule fights, not getting paid. From turning pro, money on hotels, gas, traveling, food, medicals, weight cuts, to turning pro. I'm like, oh shit, this paycheck I'm about to get for this fight is not even close to what I make every 2 weeks at work. You know, and still being like, all right, fuck it, we're gonna do it anyway.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool to see like everything come full circle, but it took 8 years for me to get to this point.
Yeah, to be an overnight success.
Yeah, it's not an overnight success, and I feel like people like you said, some people give up too early to where they don't understand. Like, I keep chugging. Eventually, this shit gotta work. Yeah. Nobody does anything for 8 years straight consistently, and it doesn't work in some form or fashion.
Yeah.
Life doesn't work that way. If you're not where you want to be and you've been doing something for a long time, you got to sit back and look at yourself and like, am I really doing everything I can to get to where I'm trying to be? And a lot of people, if they can honestly answer that question, they're going to have to tell themselves no.
Yeah.
And for me, like I said, I have nothing else. It's my family, it's my job, I'm in here.
Yep.
I don't do shit else. So, you can mold your life into how you want it to be, but everything comes with a cost. Whether it's the cost of having a social life or however you look at it, everything comes with a cost. But you can be whatever the fuck you want to be, but you're going to have to work for it.
You got to work for it. That's the only thing.
Yeah, I think in this sport, a lot of people are used to instant gratification. We live in this freaking social media world that, if I got a certain amount of followers, I'm a top fighter, and it's like, I don't want to go too deep in it because I'm gonna get mad, but I'm gonna get real mad. But followers don't mean stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And eventually, all the facades and things like that, you're gonna run into somebody that's gonna clip you. And like for me, I pride myself in fighting tough people and training with people that's better than me, so I can be prepared for that time. So,
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah.
We shall see.
You good? No, it's a crazy time because social media viewership, followership has become currency, and it's exciting, and also can be annoying because people will get opportunities that they're not technically prepared for, or will get taken care of in ways. And getting opportunities that I, in my opinion, the way this should work is the people that can fight the best should be in the best positions because that's what we're doing. We're not. It's not a competition to see who can get the most people to like them. Yeah. So now, moving on to the more exciting topics, we actually got some stuff lined up. It's been a long path to getting on the road to activity.
Yeah, for sure.
But tell me about Warriors Cup, April 21st, New York City.
Yeah, so Warriors Cup, one of my favorite shows to fight on. Like we said earlier, fought on there 3 times so far in my amateur career. Fighting a good guy from New York, but I think he's like originally from Poland. His name's like Paul. Powell and something with a lot of syllables. So I'm not going to butcher it, but he's a good fighter, man. It should be a hell of a fight. April 21st, Melrose Ballroom. I'm moving up 2 weight classes from what I've been originally fighting at as a professional. I was already planning to moving up to 160 anyway, but this was literally the only thing we could get for the first quarter of the year, and they really wanted to fight at 168. So I kept my mindset, fuck it, why not? And we got a fight, so 5-round title fight for the 168 Warriors Cup title. Got about 4 more weeks. I can fight tomorrow if needed be, but it should be a good fight. Make sure you guys get the pay-per-view. If you want to, the tickets, if you're in the DMV area or New York area, DM me on Instagram and things of that nature. But it should be a fun fight. I'm excited for this one.
And this is like an important thing for a lot of people to understand. Like, if you're going to become a professional fighter, in my opinion, you have to operate the way that Gary's been operating his whole career, honestly, and especially this year. Like, we were thinking that we were going to be fighting for a WBC title against a certain fighter on Warriors Cup in February, and that fell through, and then other potential people kept falling through, and it was February, like just March. Kind of in limbo, things just going by. I'm literally hounding these promoters daily, trying to make something happen, to the point where I was actually getting ready to launch my own shit in April just to make sure this man got a fight before summertime. And then luckily, Chris Tran came through for us on Warriors Cup and lined this up.
Shout out to Chris, man.
But this man stayed active, stayed training, and kept on going until something came up, and didn't have to be like, oh man, well, it's a little too early, or it's a little too this or too that. Like he said, he was ready to fight. For the first time in a long time, we were like kind of got a mapped out year just about.
Sure.
Can't really talk too much about the potential thing at the end, but we can talk about what's going on in Bali, though.
Yeah, so Bali, for those who don't know, I went to Wales to do the inaugural Pro League for the WKA Association, and that's how I got this belt here. And this year they're doing Worlds in Bali, but it's also the first emerged official, I guess you could say official show. That's outside of that's outside of the tournament process to get on. It's the first fight for all of us that won contracts to fight our first fight on our contract. So I'm fighting a guy named Marco Gambino. He's from somewhere in the UK, but I don't remember right now. But pretty good fighter. I seen him fight out there in Wales. It should be a fun fight. I'm excited. Get the fight on the beach, and Dave's doing a lot of good things to try to move kickboxing into the right direction. So it can be recognized as much as MMA, boxing, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm excited to be a part of that, and be, you know, just a small piece that can help the sport grow. So it should be dope.
Yeah, it's all and super important to have fighters like you in there because it's a kind of a like a jump now from making, like you said, like barely what you were making,
Every 2 weeks,
yeah, and to now like having the possibility to actually make a living kickboxing,
for sure. For sure.
and then just the opportunities that the streaming platform is going to present, and it really, what's cool is it's all we're basically crowdfunding kickboxing. So the next step is to get the right people in there, the people that really want to fight, that want to challenge themselves, that want to take on the hard battles, to make the fights that the people viewing are like, damn, I can't wait to see that, and want to tune in, and you're checking, you're following the storylines and stuff like that to help create this this positive snowball effect with the streaming platform, with the Merge. We're going to be cranking out a lot of content from this channel, from Strike Pass, the Level Up gym, doing countdown shows. We're going to do a countdown show for Gary and Marco's fight in Bali. We're going to do some fight companion and stuff, like kind of commentating on some of the events that you guys will see on the platform. A lot more podcasts. We have a choreographed fight scene challenge competition show coming your way. It's going to be called Fight Scene. I'll be hosting that, so I'll have some more information on that soon as well too. A reality TV show in the works as well, hopefully toward the end of the year or early next year. So a lot of really big stuff, a lot of big opportunities for the sport. A lot of stuff going to be going this man's way because he deserved it. He's been working for it and he's earned it. And again, big shout out to Dave Sawyer for
big shout out to Dave.
He kind of plucked us out of the darkness. We were in a situation a while back where he had made his pro debut, and then we were coming up on like almost a year, right, where we couldn't get a fight.
It was exactly a year. Exactly a year when I fought.
Fought a guy with 10 fights, pro debut, par for the course for Gary Mack, what he does, and then nobody wanted to fight him again. So again, par for the course, and reached out to Dave, who I'd met at the WKA tournament years ago. We had that instant connection. He's such an awesome guy. Fast forward a couple years later, he becomes the WKA president of the entire thing. And he's spent a lot of time during COVID building this streaming platform, and he's relentless with the effort and work that he's put into this network that he's building. There's stuff on right now, streaming live. So yeah, you guys make sure check the link in the description below for to be able to watch all these videos and get notifications for stuff that comes out. Pretty soon there will be a 24/7 free-to-air live streaming, just our smokers, Gary's fights, WKA Nationals, WKA Worlds. There'll just be fights and fight content running on this channel all the time. Really, really exciting time. So welcome back to the Late Night Level Up. Thank you, Gary, for coming out and being my first guest back. It's exciting to get this thing back going, and thank you guys for tuning in.